This is the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast, where we spread awareness for men's mental health and spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. New episodes drop weekly.
Very few people have what it takes to become a police officer, and even less have what it takes to be a K-9 handler. Tonight on the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast, I'm joined by Robyn and her partner, Jax. We're going to talk about the human side of law enforcement, get into PTSD, fitness, resilience, and overall just how to take better care of yourself, both mentally, physically, and spiritually. Robyn, thanks for joining the show tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah. And can we see Jax real quick? Well, there he is. All right.
He'll be in the background. I may have to take his ball away if otherwise he'll keep distracting me.
Keep going crazy. All right. Well, Robyn, thanks again for joining us. And I'd just kind of like to start from the beginning for everyone out there in our audience. Where did you grow up? And can you kind of give us a little bit of glimpse of what your childhood was like?
Yeah, so I'll start from the very beginning just to give a little context to my family situation. So my mom is from England and my dad was in the Air Force, and they met when my dad was stationed over in England. My mom was previously married. She had 3 boys, so I have 3 half brothers from my mom's first marriage. And then when they got together, they got married and pregnant with my sister and decided to move to the States. So they moved to New Hampshire. Pease Air Force Base is where my dad was stationed. And I was actually born on the Air Force Base.
Nice.
And we lived there till I was about 6 years old. And then we ended up moving to Maine. So
Okay.
I spent most of my childhood years in Maine. Well, basically since 6 years old on, I've been in Maine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm also I'm an Army brat, so I can kind of relate.
Mhm.
We lived in Germany for 3 years when I was a kid. My dad was Army, so yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, born on a military base.
Nice.
It's not a military base anymore, but it does still exist to a certain extent. There's an airport there, and I believe there's still some military features there. But yeah, not too far from where I am now. It's only about 45 minutes, if that.
Okay, very
So
cool.
yeah, yep.
So growing up, did you play sports, or were you involved in anything like clubs or activities that kind of motivated you to go into law enforcement?
Yeah, so I had a pretty typical childhood. We had a pretty big house. I had a sister, brother, and my dad was a police officer. Mom was a stay at home mom, and I I played sports. Softball was my biggest. I played
Nice,
soccer. I played basketball. Did all the things. And also was big into like four-wheeling, and
nice.
yeah, had a pretty typical childhood for the most part. I know my dad worked a lot. I was pretty independent. My grandmother lived with us. My grandmother was also from England, so I spent a lot of time with, I called her my Nana. Spent a lot of time with her growing up. Uh, but yeah,
So as a kid, did you hang around like dad's work a lot, or get to kind of? I mean, I know you weren't doing a ride along when you're a small kid, but did that really intrigue you as a child, like seeing just the police world and all that stuff?
yeah. So quite honestly, typical with police work, I actually didn't see my dad a lot. He
Right.
worked he worked a lot. But there were times, yes, we visited the police department.
Okay.
His PD in particular had a mounted unit, which I always loved the horses. So anytime I had a chance to go there, I did. But yeah, I mean, seeing him serve, and he did 40 plus years as a police officer.
Wow.
He retired, but he's actually still on part-time and does all those road details.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so yeah, he definitely gave himself to his work. And I respected that. I respected him not being around because he was making a living. He was taking care of us, and he's just a great man. So, yeah, he definitely inspired me to get into service, but I didn't get into police work until later on in my late 20s. My brother was also a police officer. He actually went into the military as well. He went to the Navy right out of high school. He was a firefighter prior to that, did all the call service firefighter stuff. Went into the Navy, got out of the Navy, was a police officer in Prince William County, Virginia for 18 years, and he was able to retire with his military service in combination with his 18 years of service. And he's actually retired now, and he's only a year, 16 months older than me. So brother, dad, both in the service. So um, at the time when I decided I wanted to be a police officer, I was actually a firefighter first.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So at the time well, we could back up a little, I guess. Prior to becoming a police officer, I did a lot of different jobs, a lot of different service jobs at that. So I was a bartender. I actually managed a fast food chain at one point when I was, 18 years old. Did that for about 5 years, and then got into the food service, being a server and a bartender. And that was good during that time in my life. I gained a lot of life experience from it, and ended up uh, getting into a relationship with a guy who was a police officer. And he kind of sparked my interest, as well as obviously my family, my dad and my brother. Um, and I got into the fire service first. So I was actually an EMT and a call firefighter. Went through the firefighter 1 certifications in Maine and New Hampshire. And then it wasn't until after that that I decided to change
What
and go to the
what
dark side.
what what made you go from fire to law enforcement? Was it more because of the guy you were dating? You're just more intrigued by it, or like because I was the opposite. I was a police officer and I wanted to go fire. I always thought, other than the medical stuff, I didn't want to touch that, but the actual like fire calls, like I always thought, man, that'd be cool to do that. They got paid more and they sat around all the time. I mean, they're working like 24 hours, they're off for two. And I was like, that might be a better gig than being a cop.
Honestly, really what drew me to police work was the problem solving aspect of it. And I feel like I've kind of always been pretty good at that, and reading people, like my intuition is very good. And I knew that that would be a great asset in police work. And obviously police work is all about problem solving. That's all we do day in and day out, is solve other people's problems.
Yeah.
So really that was kind of like where I made the switch. And yeah, the medical side of things, I mean, I'm smart, but I'm not really that smart. I couldn't see myself going into the paramedic level and having to deal with giving people medication and
Yeah.
dosages and all of that jazz. So I decided to get into police work, and that was in 2011.
Okay, cool.
Well, I decided to make the change in 2010, but I didn't get on and hired by a PD until 2011.
Okay. So how would you compare, since you've done both pipelines, how would you compare going into the fire service versus law enforcement? If there's someone out there listening that's maybe considering one of those jobs, what was it like for you from like the academy standpoint? Would you say one was more challenging than the other? I know they're two different jobs, but
They were both very
okay.
challenging, absolutely. And one thing I would say is just being physically fit and capable of doing all the things, especially in the fire service, like crawling through really tight spaces. That was one of the big things through the academy that I went through. Even though it was a remote academy, they had a trailer that they hauled in that we had to literally crawl through these tiny spaces, full gear, full SCBA. And if you were claustrophobic, it would not be for you. So
Yeah.
just the physical fitness part of it, I think really in either career is
Hmm.
super important. But the stress level, I would say, is obviously way more extreme at the police academy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
In Maine, we have a military-based police academy.
Oh,
It's
okay.
18 weeks live in.
Damn.
Yeah,
That's a
so
long
it
academy.
it was. And Monday through Friday, we went home on the
Okay.
weekends,
All right.
but yeah, 6 a.m. Monday morning, You
Wow.
better be ready. And it went straight through till Friday afternoon, and it was military base, so it was stress induced, obviously
Mm-hmm.
controlled stress, but still stressful. And it was from week 1 to week 18. I mean, they let up a little bit toward week 18, but once we figured it out, it got easier. Once we learned to, work as a unit, and the way they set it up, there's a class leader, and then there were platoons, and then there were
Mm-hmm.
platoon leaders, and the chain of command was important. Um, yeah, I can't remember where we were at with that
No,
question.
I just that's a lot. Well, I was just comparing the two different
Oh yeah.
roles, but so was that like for the state police, or was it just like one academy for anyone that was going into law enforcement?
So the way it works in Maine, every single full-time law enforcement officer has to go through the 18-week academy,
Okay.
whether you're hired as municipal, state police, game warden. um, every single law enforcement officer, if you want to be full-time, you have to go through the 18-week academy. And
Okay.
then from there, if you're a trooper or a game warden, then Jax, come here. Hold on a second. Poost. Here, buddy. Lady. So after the 18 weeks, if you were a trooper, then you have to go through an additional 9 weeks. So yeah.
Okay.
So municipal, I didn't have to do that.
Gotcha.
So once the 18 weeks was done, that was it.
Gotcha. Yeah, our academy was 12 weeks and everyone attended. It was a state academy, but the state troopers had their own academy. So they were completely separate. And I always heard stories that theirs was, more intense. It was harder and all, but I never had any desire to be a state trooper. So I was like, because I didn't like traffic anyway. So I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to do that stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, ours is 12. And I will say this, I'll piss off some Tennessee listeners. It sounds like the physical fitness standards in Maine are way tighter because in the area that I worked and still live in now, it's they're not super hard. You can just tell. But I'll
Yeah.
just
So
say that without being too ugly. But
our entrance standards, I wouldn't say they're tough. You have to do a 1.5 mile run. You have to do a certain amount of sit-ups and push-ups in a minute.
yeah,
So, I mean, if you have any, like, I'd say basic level of fitness,
yeah,
the sit-ups are probably the hardest for everybody.
mm-hmm,
Um, but then once you pass that test, obviously the academy is like you're working out
yeah,
all the time. Like that's sometimes 2 a day.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, if you were not fit prior to the academy, you're probably gonna have to, like, you're gonna get fit through it.
mm-hmm,
So
yeah, totally,
lots of running. They have an
yeah.
indoor track.
Oh, okay.
You'd have to run around 22 times to do a 1.5 miles.
Wow. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
That's a lot of laughs. Yeah.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
had a Mickey Mouse obstacle course that most 7-year-olds could smoke. That was our entrance test plus the written test. And then what ours is saying, once you got to the academy, you're running all the time. And that was back when CrossFit was still kind of new. And so they were trying to like kind of do hybrid versions of CrossFit. But the actual department itself, yeah, there wasn't a high, it's probably changed now, but that was a long time ago. But there wasn't a high level of as far as an entrance exam. There was no mile run or mile and a half. There was no Cooper protocol. It was
Oh,
basically
wow.
get through this little obstacle. There was no age limit, no height, no weight requirement. I was always surprised by that. But yeah, probably a different scene here than than where you are. But and I'm sure it's changed over the years. I'm probably not being fair to them, but yeah, it's pretty wild. Well, so you you get out of the academy and then you go straight to patrol after you graduate?
Yeah, so also one of the ways it works in Maine, technically, if you go through their reserve academy, you can actually work the road prior to the full-time academy, which is what I did. So in 2011, in the spring, I actually got hired as a reserve officer for a local beach community, which
Cool.
I don't know if you know New Hampshire at all, but like,
No.
oh, okay. If anybody
No.
listening knows New Hampshire, like Hampton Beach, um, is similar to small town Maine Old Orchard Beach, where the population triples in the summertime.
Yeah.
Very busy, like beach community, bars, you name it, downtown. So they, in the summer, would hire reserves to basically be down there on foot or on bike patrol, and that's where I got hired. So I was able to do that for the summer, and then I got hired full time by another town nearby, and I was able to go through the FTO process and work the road for a bit of time before I went to the full-time academy. But after I graduated, yes, I actually did not have to go back on FTO because I graduated FTO prior to the academy. I just had like a quick refresher and got right into third shift.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Which is
and
pretty typical for the listeners out there. You're going to go to midnights usually as a new officer. So be prepared for that because it's pretty common.
yep, yep. And so I worked for that agency for almost 8 years, and I did FTO for 5 of it. So I got to FTO quite a few new officers. Was pretty big on OUI enforcement through that. And then, yeah, if you want to lead on to the rest of my career, I can fill you in on where I
Well,
went after that. But
I kind of I
you,
kind of
you
want to step back just a few steps real quick. So, growing up, and we kind of talked a little bit before we started recording. I'm just curious, did faith play a role for you as far as wanting to go into a first responder role? And did you have a foundation, in childhood coming up? Was church like a regular thing, or what's your experience as far as that looks?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That was
Hmm.
actually something that I had thought of that we could talk about. So I was not brought up in any particular faith. I
Okay.
never went to church as a child. I only went to church if I was going with my best friend. She had to do the Sunday thing, the Sunday school, all
Mm-hmm.
the things. So occasionally I would go with her family, and I believe she was Catholic, if I remember correctly. So no, so I wasn't brought up with God at all. It actually wasn't until and that did not play a role with me getting into law enforcement either. Really, God didn't start being in my life. I didn't start having a relationship with him until after my PTSD diagnosis. And just after I went through like a really big period of depression. That's really when I started to have a relationship with God, and that was like 2017, 2018, around that time frame.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'm actually still pretty new in the world of believing and reading and speaking to him. Um, but I'm super super grateful that I am now. But but yeah, it didn't play a big part in my childhood, unfortunately.
Well, but here's the thing, Robert. Like, don't discredit yourself because you're new to it. I mean, at the end of the day, I think sometimes, at least in the South, there's a lot of legalism. There's a lot of kind of a stigma around church, that it's not for everybody in some circumstances, or if you've got a past. Like, I've been divorced twice, so there's certain congregations that wouldn't let me in the door. That's obviously not right, but it's hard when you're trying to turn your life around and follow Christ, and then you're told, "Hey, you're not welcome here." But I was laughing at Jax, not you. But
Sorry.
but no, you're good.
I have
Well,
to get
so
him out of my way
no,
because
you're good.
he
He
keeps
wants his
dropping the
he wants
ball
his
in my
mommy.
lap.
So if you're comfortable, I'd like to kind of maybe peel back a little bit on what really made God um a part of your life. Just go where you're comfortable, but I'd like to maybe kind of dive into that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess should I talk about the whole PTSD thing? Because that's kind of like I guess where it
Yeah,
led.
I think it'd be important to just share what you're comfortable
Yeah.
with, but I think that's a really important thing to cover tonight, especially.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So it was 2015. Um, I found out I was pregnant. Well, backpedal a little bit. My husband and I met at the police department. We've actually worked at the same agency. We met in 2011. We got married in 2012. And then we found out we were pregnant in 2015. So I was still working the road. I was actually in the best shape of my life during that time period, thankfully. So I was able to continue working the road. But I was kind of early on in my pregnancy when this particular incident happened. I think I was 3 months, maybe 4 months pregnant. Um, I was on the evening shift, and we got a call that came in that there was a stabbing at a local grocery store. And I was actually in the parking lot when this call came in. So I was the first officer on scene. It was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was August 19th, 2015. We didn't have a lot of information, you know, possible stabbing. I didn't really know what that meant. I just responded. As soon as I got to the door, people are rushing me inside. Turned the corner, went over a couple of aisles, and it was chaos. Um, the suspect had actually already been detained by civilians. Thank God, because she had plans to hurt other people as well. And what I saw, which it's a little bit of tunnel vision, but a lot of blood. Um, a woman had been stabbed, like very, very, very badly. And civilians had detained the suspect, and I just did what I had to do. I went in, I handcuffed the suspect, took her into custody, and then I was just trying to assess the situation, letting other responding officers know what I had, doing what I had to do to make sure the scene was safe. But thank God for those civilians as well. Um, During this, all of this happening, there was actually a couple of medics in the grocery store when this happened. I think they were all firefighters. They were trying to control the bleeding. But it was bad. It was very, very bad. And they they were transporting the victim, but based on everything that I'd seen, I knew it was not going to be a good outcome. So all that aside, they did take her, and I continued doing what I had to do. I brought the suspect in and obviously arrested, and our state police, who handle major crimes, ended up getting involved. And so I'm at the PD, I'm processing this person, and I come to find out one of the state police detectives ended up telling me that the woman had died. And so I was in booking and had to sit through a full confession from this person. And I believe this is public information now, so I don't think there's anything that I'm going to say is not okay to say. But anyway, I had to listen to her full confession and what led up to this incident and what her plans were. She had planned it all out. She had planned to pick a woman of older, smaller stature and attack her. And that's exactly what she did. Um, and so this person actually reenacted this during this full confession. So I had to sit through all of that. Meanwhile, I was pregnant. So obviously there's emotions happening, and
Mm-hmm.
I still did what I had to do, though. I handled myself well. I didn't let anything affect me in the moment. I did what I had to do. But yeah, so then I ended up bringing her to county and went through the whole shebang. So let's say a couple days after, obviously, there's always debriefs.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually really get affected by this incident until the debrief. And I have spoken about this a little bit before, where I think they've changed the procedure now, but I was put on the spot. I mean, we sat in a room, a circle of chairs, if you can picture this.
Jeez.
So it was like a round circle of chairs. A couple of people from outside agencies came in to run it. And they basically were like, everybody's going to speak and say what you did that day and how it affected you. And I honestly did not want to talk.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't give me that option. And I think the procedure has changed now. I think most debriefs nowadays, you do have the option whether you want to talk or not. But I was very much put on the spot. And that honestly was like the worst experience for me. I did speak, but I'm sure anybody that was there could probably attest to it that it didn't come out well.
Mm-hmm.
And from that moment on, I just started to have some issues. I ended up seeking out therapy, ended up going to therapy, attempted to do a workers' comp claim, which ultimately, like, fast forward 6 months to a year after this, it ended up getting denied.
Jeez.
And I ended up having to probably move into this later, but I ended up having to basically fight to get covered for what happened to me after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, so I know it it may seem like nothing to some, but it was just, I don't know, it was something about this particular incident just really affected me, and it may have to do with, obviously, the pregnancy hormones could have played a role, but also the fact that the woman that lost her life, she was a very well-known community member. She had a huge, huge family. I took part in all of the things afterward too. I went to her wake. I went to her funeral. I went and visited her gravesite many, many times. Um, just something about it just rocked me to my core. And yeah, I took some time off from work and went into early labor. I ended up having my son 7 weeks early, premature. Thankfully, he was healthy though. Um, but yeah, 7 weeks early, and then took my normal time off after that for maternity leave. And it wasn't until after I had my son that I really started to decline. Um, Alcohol started to play a pretty big role in my life. Um, and yeah, so
Can I ask you a couple questions before we
yes,
go into the alcohol?
yes,
Um,
please.
First of all, I want to say this to the audience. Cops are not robots. I know some people look at law enforcement or first responders because they're wearing a uniform, because they're there when something chaotic happens, that they're not supposed to have emotions, but that would rock anybody. And I was just, while you were talking, I was thinking, did they provide any kind of counselor, like, right after the call or maybe the day after? Did they use like any kind of EAP service before you had to go sit in this circle and basically relive all that stuff? Was that an option at all?
The EAP didn't come up until after the
Okay.
debrief. And
Okay.
the debrief, they usually try to do it, I think, within 3 days. And I do think that they did it within that time frame. Um, it wasn't taken seriously like it would be now,
Hmm.
especially with the workers' comp stuff. Like that, even PTSD alone was not looked at the same it is looked at now.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that advances are being made and mental health is being taken more seriously now, but
Hmm.
I definitely felt like I was hung out to dry. I felt like my agency didn't take it seriously. Um, the role that I played may not have been a huge role, but I was still there, first on scene. I saw everything. For me, it was real. So I don't know that they really took it as seriously as it was, unfortunately. I do think things would be different now in 2026. I mean, this was 10 years ago now. But the EAP, yeah, they mentioned it, but it wasn't like they really like pushed it.
Okay. And I know I've had a couple other officers on the show, and they've shared basically situations where they had a horrific call and it didn't hit them until several days, several years later. I've had experience, not I don't want to compare stories, but cops like to compare all the time. Um, I went through something and I didn't really process it until way after the fact. And I didn't realize it was bothering me in ways until I really started to kind of focus on sobriety and mental health. And I kind of started, because I always kind of had this stigma too, like, well, PTSD is just for combat veterans, not cops, not firefighters, not, regular military, whatever, non-combat. But yeah, so it sounds like I hate to hear that, especially to be pregnant and then be forced to sit in a circle and cheer. That's yeah, I'm sorry you had to go through that. That's
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I realize now, maybe I could have spoken up and voiced my discomfort and that I didn't feel comfortable
mhm.
talking. Um, but I felt like I had no choice. And it
Yeah.
also in the room was, deputy chiefs,
Mhm.
you know, everybody that had some sort of role in the day
Mhm.
was there, whether it was, a very small role or, first on scene or somebody trying to stop the bleeding. Um, but yeah, I wasn't given the option. So that if I could go back now, I would use my big girl voice and I would say, I'm not comfortable talking.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I do know that nowadays they're actually they revamped everything and it's very different how they debrief now. It's almost like it's not a circle for one.
Yeah.
And there's a system to it, where you're basically just they give you a chart and they're going, around the room and you're just filling out the chart on your own, like to yourself. And if you want to speak, you can speak. So thankfully, things are changing.
Yeah. That's good. That's good to hear. And it sounds like more departments are kind of being more proactive when it comes to mental health and the health of their officers and not just the old ways of just go to the next call and you're fine. Don't worry about it. Just it's part of the job.
Yeah.
So you mentioned before we got into the counseling side of it, you kind of started to talk about alcohol. Do you want to dive into that a little bit?
Yeah. So, you know, prior to all this, I like to say that I had a healthy relationship with alcohol. I've always in my adult life, I've always drank until now, but um I never started using alcohol like I used alcohol after my pregnancy and after this incident. Um so it very much became a way to numb my feelings, really. It started out with um having Jack Daniels and then it turned to wine and then it went back to Jack Daniels and then it turned to vodka. Um and I never let it affect my job, my motherhood, being a mom, but I very much used it in excess. Um and I went into depression basically. Uh Still did the therapy, still did all the things. Ended up getting diagnosed with PTSD, which like you mentioned before, when I think of PTSD, I think of like combat vets and um, people that have experienced way worse things than what I have in my 15 years of law enforcement. So to accept that was kind of weird for me. But at the same time, it was also helping me fight that workers' comp claim,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Um, but yeah, so alcohol just existed in my life, and it got to the point where I was drinking every night, in excess. Like I couldn't have just one. But then again, if I had just one, it always made me feel like crap. Um, so so yeah, I
Did you have a kind of an aha moment or a rock bottom moment with alcohol that made you decide to change course a little bit?
I wouldn't say I had an aha moment or a rock bottom. As much as I did drink heavily, I never really hit rock bottom unless unless I consider being overweight rock bottom, which
Mm.
I guess yeah, for me that definitely could be my rock bottom. At one point in my life around 2017, 2018, I was at my heaviest. I weighed about 217 pounds, and I was just very unhappy with myself. And it wasn't until that point in my life when I realized, maybe I need to reevaluate what I'm doing. Is alcohol playing a big role in this? Which, of course, it is. It was. So I decided to take a break from drinking and ended up losing a bunch of weight. And then I thought I had it under control, and I just started drinking again. And my marriage was going through things at the time. And yeah, alcohol again was just a way to numb everything. So unfortunately,
Did you consider like a treatment program like AA, or did you look at like a support group? Or I'm just curious because I know for me AA was not my thing. I found help through a church, like a men's group, and it took me a while to find it. But I'm just curious, like, how did you how did you navigate that? I know the weight loss, obviously, that's a big part of it. But once you realize that it's a bigger problem, how did you go through that process?
yeah. So I had some ups and downs with my relationship with alcohol. I guess I should add that in there. So
Okay.
there was a time period where I did quit for a little while and then started drinking again. And it wasn't until so my husband and I had separated. I actually moved out of my house for a little while and lived elsewhere for almost a year. And I really like took a deep dive into like my core values, what was important to me, taking care of myself while still trying to do all the things, work full-time law enforcement, still be the best mom that I could. Um, but that time away like really helped me kind of find myself again. That included fitness, included meditation, it included therapy, and it included times without alcohol. And those, I just kept finding that my time without alcohol was, my life was significantly better.
Hmm.
I was happier, I was feeling great, and I was, losing weight. So I just kind of went with that. And it was 2022 when I decided to just give it up altogether.
Okay.
So the biggest help for me in giving it up altogether was actually a book. It was actually a book that I read. I didn't use any outside resources. I didn't use AA. I didn't go to any rehabs or anything like that. I didn't feel like I couldn't label myself as having like a problem where I needed to do any of those things.
Hmm.
And I've always been very determined in my ways to like I like a challenge. So I just took it upon myself to really like be that person, be that AA for myself. Like,
Hmm.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to quit for 30 days and then we'll see where it goes. So that was 2022. My husband and I got back together. We kind of rekindled things. I moved back in. I was feeling good. And I set out for 30 days. And that was almost 4 years ago.
Nice.
So I've been alcohol free since August of 2022.
That's awesome. I'm proud of you. That's really, really awesome.
Thank you. And so the book that I read was called This Naked Mind. Suggested it to many people, and I've gotten great feedback from others. I've read that book at least 3 times. I've listened to it on Audible. If anybody is struggling with their relationship with alcohol, I highly, highly suggest reading that book. It changed everything for me.
It's amazing how books will do that. I found a lot of support in books also. It's funny you said since 22, right? August of 22. This is how
Hmm.
long. Yeah, I
Yep.
let's see. You were about right at the same point. Mine was in October. So I was you were a little bit earlier than me, but yeah, that's pretty wild.
It's
And
awesome.
I was
Congrats.
kind of thank you. I was kind of the same way. I was like, I don't really think I have a problem. I just numb but I was the type of person that would drink in excess, but then do a lot of foolish things and say a lot of foolish shit. And so it caused a lot of collateral damage. So I definitely abused it, but I never felt like I relied on it to function, like to go to work or to wake up in the morning. So I struggled with that title, Steve's an alcoholic, because I really didn't feel like I had to have it. I just enjoyed it because I didn't want to sit in the pain. I want to just numb it and not think about anything. And but once I started that whole journey of sobriety, I started to realize, okay, this isn't really as much about alcohol as it's about unresolved childhood trauma and other things that I just haven't addressed. And so I need to like hit it head on. And just for the listeners, it's not easy. I mean, it takes work. And Robin, you obviously have a lot of resilience and a lot of discipline. And I think if you're already, in that mindset already, it's easier to transition into the mental health piece because you obviously have the fitness. You were seeing the results from losing weight, not drinking. So you kind of get that momentum. And I think it transitions into at least personally, I think it transitions into the mental health side of it because it's kind of similar, I think mental health is very similar to physical health. You got to put the effort into it if you want the results.
100%. It only you have the ability to change things in your life. You can't rely on other people,
Mhm.
and it doesn't happen overnight. If there's any one thing that I say on repeat when people inquire with me, like, how do you stay so motivated? How do you stay so disciplined and consistent? It always comes back to the same thing. Like, it's literally one day at a time, like
Mhm.
one workout at a time, 10 minutes at a time. Like, honestly, the hardest thing is sometimes just like I'm in my basement right now. This is my home gym. Or if you go to a regular gym, like the hardest part is getting there.
Mhm.
The hardest part is the first 5 minutes. But I kid you not, once you get past those 5 minutes, something in your brain just changes and it just makes everything better. And maybe that's my new addiction. Like, I am now addicted to finding that feeling and chasing that feeling and seeing the results. And
Mhm.
the results are not going to happen overnight. That's the other part of it is in this fast world that we live in, like, we have things at our fingertips all the time. Like, you really just got to take it one day at a time, and it's not going to happen overnight. Like, consistency is so important,
Hmm.
and to, you're not going to be motivated either. And that's one of the biggest things. Like, I don't always have motivation, but breaking through that initial barrier is where you will find what you're looking for. You just have to get through it.
100%. And I think too, you've got to want to do it for yourself,
Mhm.
not for anyone else. Similar to your story, I quit alcohol for a year and a half, but I did it to prove my son's mom that I could do it. And I did it to spite her. I didn't do it for me. And then I went back to drinking. So the second time around, I realized I got to do this not only for my children, but for myself. And I think anyone listening, when it comes to mental health, learning to love yourself, in my opinion, is not easy sometimes, but you have to want to do it for yourself because the healthier you can become, the better you're going to be for everyone else in your life. And that may sound selfish, but at the end of the day, you need to take care of yourself before you can take care of other people.
You are the most important cup to fill. Like,
Hmm.
if you can't fill your own cup, how are you gonna pour into others?
That's right.
And just having that mindset of, like, in my bio at one point, I had in there, cup half full mindset. And I feel like I've always kinda lived my life that way, and I've always thought that way, and maybe that's what's helped me get through a lot of the things that I've been through,
Hmm.
because your mind is everything. Like, you have the ability to control your mind and change your thoughts and change your outlooks and be your biggest supporter. If you think you're gonna do a shit job or do bad at something, you're probably gonna.
Hmm.
But if you think you're gonna do great and, like, have that confidence in yourself and say a prayer and talk to God and just don't give up, like, you are capable.
Hmm. Let's go back to faith real quick. You mentioned earlier that the PTSD kind of was the pathway to the Lord. At what point in your story did God become real to you?
So I was, uh, baptized.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I had to
No, you're
question
good.
that.
You're good.
So I was baptized in, 2018, I think.
Nice. Okay.
Um, so I don't really there was really no, like, specific incident there
Hmm.
or anything that I can recall that made me wanna turn and change and talk to him, because I've always been a believer in some form or higher power. Not always particularly God, but,
Hmm.
um, I just found, like, talking to him, I saw changes,
Yeah.
and whenever I put my trust in him is when I started to see changes and positive things happening in my life. So, it's just it's just kind of over time, it's just turned into a bigger and better relationship. So there wasn't anything in particular that really made me go down this road and being a bigger believer.
Okay.
It was more just my journey and being so, like, down and depressed and hard on myself. I always felt like there was something bigger and light at the end of the tunnel. So for me, I think having him to believe in, that he was there and supporting me and being that light, I feel like it just made my relationship stronger and stronger over the years.
And I think I'm glad you brought that up because I want people to hear that God wants a relationship with you. He's not going to force it because we have free will. I think even like I was raised in the church, but I didn't understand that concept until, I mean, I'm 46, so I didn't really get that till 42 because I started reading book like Christian authors and like John Eldridge, Wild at Heart. Like that book alone just kind of helped me put things in perspective. But I think what people need to realize is you don't have to be this perfect example of what you think the church person is. Put God in everything you do, and you can talk to him like you and I are talking right now. You don't have to do some formal prayer or have some kind of like, you don't have to be a deacon or an elder or something like that. And I think our society sometimes kind of puts things in a box. And so you're either the church guy or you're this or you're not. Like I got classified as a Christian podcast, and I clarified last night and I said, I'm a Christian, but this is not just a Christian podcast. I'll talk to anybody. I'm not just going to discriminate based on what they believe in. And I think as a believer in Jesus Christ, we're taught to love one another, which isn't always easy, but that's what we're supposed to do, and to honor him and to be a light, not be darkness. And so I think that's awesome, Robert. I think that's great that you're talking to him, and just hearing you say your life is improved because you're trusting him. That's what it's all about. That's the key right there.
It's pretty amazing.
It
Uh,
is. Yeah, it
uh,
is.
every every well, every day I talk to him, but every shift I say the same prayer, um, for myself and for my coworkers, and it's helped. It's helping. Like I feel like it's working. It's worked. Um, Jax, boost. Oh goodness. He's trying. He's digging around the gym to find one of his toys
Oh, okay.
that I
I
have
saw. Well, he
hidden.
was looking in. He was looking in the mirror at himself earlier when you were talking. I was trying not to laugh because he turned his head and he was looking
he's
at himself.
he's trying to find, like, I have a toy, like, over there that's
Oh, that's where
stuffed
he
in the
was.
drawer.
That's where he was. Yeah, that's what he was doing. Okay, I thought he was looking in the mirror.
So yeah, so every shift well, first of all, I open it by saying, Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, for our home, our health, and each other. I said, I pray that you keep me and my coworkers safe tonight. If any conflict should arise, I pray that we are able to resolve it in a way so no one gets hurt. I pray that I don't have to use my firearm. I pray for my animal friends, which people laugh at me for this, but I hate having to dispatch deer or any animals for that matter
Yeah,
if they get hit by cars.
yeah,
So I say a prayer for them, that they stay out of the road.
yeah,
And I just ask that he gives me strength and courage and confidence to do my job and do my job well. I pray for Jax and I, if we should have a deployment, that we're successful, but most importantly, safe. And I just ask that he's with me, and I know he always is. Every shift, as soon as I get in my cruiser, when I'm on my way in, as soon as I leave my house, I say that prayer. And I've actually recorded it before in my cruiser, and I I posted a video of it, but unfortunately I had to take it down because I was in my cruiser and wearing my uniform.
oh yeah.
So I, as some of my followers know, have been dealing with some backlash from my agency having to do with my social media. So I'm just trying
Uh,
to be super careful and not posting anything that contains my agency name, badge, insignias, anything like that.
okay,
But that particular video that I made a couple of them. They did go a little viral. So
nice.
which was nice because it's so important to know that there's humans behind the badge and believers, and just having a prayer like that reach other people, I felt was super important. So it's pretty sad that I had to take it down, but
Yeah, it's very important. And I think that there's a lot of folks out there that are seeking Jesus. They just don't know how to find him, maybe, and they're looking for. I've seen it more in the podcast world. I think more guys are coming, well, women too, but coming forward that have had these unique backgrounds as far as law enforcement. things like that. And they're actually speaking up about Jesus. And it's not just your, I probably shouldn't say names, I don't get sued, but like the big name preachers that you see, like on Instagram or whoever, that are just kind of more the charismatic type guys. You're seeing regular folks too, just talking about Christ. And I think it's awesome. I mean, I think there's kind of like this little, I guess revival would be the right word, but like more people are seeking that because I mean, let's be honest, there's a lot of bad shit in the world, and they need something to believe in. And I mean, I say this all the time. I mean, you're not going to find peace until you find Christ, because nobody's going to love you unconditionally, only Jesus Christ. I mean, obviously you
Amen.
can love your children unconditionally, but a spouse or a partner or whoever, it's just, I mean, I'm sure Jax loves you unconditionally, but, but, but you're just not going to find that because we're flawed. I mean, we're human and we're going to make mistakes. And I like how you said the human side of law enforcement. I think that's really important. And, I think more people need to kind of be aware of that, because they kind of get, and I'm not going to get political on here, but cops get pigeonholed into this, oh, well, you're this supporter because you're a cop. And it's just not, I mean, we're all humans. I mean, you're doing a job. But, well, Robyn, I want to kind of, can you talk about Jax a little bit? Cause I know he's running around and kind of trying to talk
Yes.
about your partner back there.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that piece.
We can't forget about
Um,
Jax.
so so I could backpedal a little bit just on I guess my career
Yeah.
outline. So I was with that first agency for almost 8 years, and then my son was 2.5, 3 at the time, and I transitioned into a detective role. I
Okay.
actually worked for a state agency as a motor vehicle detective or investigator, where I did all things motor vehicle related, anything criminal. I did that for 5 years. It was great because it was Monday through Friday. I had, the take home car, the weekends off, the snow days, all the things. It was great for me and for my son at that age. But that being said, I throughout my career had always had a goal in mind of being a canine handler. Back from when I first started, I had to fill out those, what are your 3-year goals, 5-year
Hmm.
goals, 10-year goals, and it was always K-9 on there, K-9, K-9, K-9. So I was thinking to myself in my BMV investigator position, was like, I'm only about halfway through my career. Like, could I really see myself sitting at this desk and doing this job for another 15? I'm like, I'm just not feeling fulfilled. I was like, what else can I do? I contemplated getting out of law enforcement at one point, but that being said, I couldn't do that. So I chose to look into getting back into patrol work. So I thought, could I go back to midnight shift? Could I do this? Would this work for me and my family? And ultimately, I decided yes. And I chose an agency that has had a awesome canine program for 40 plus years. They've had dogs and some really great canine handlers, and I knew that could potentially be an opportunity for me down the road. So I did it. I applied. I got hired, and within 8 months of starting at that agency, my current agency, they posted the canine position because our one of our sergeants, who is a great man, great canine handler, like legend in our area, he was retiring.
Mm.
So that meant his canine spot was going to open up. So I put in. I Well, actually, even prior to putting in, I was showing up at canine trainings. I was attending on my own time. Was doing all the things that people interested in canine do. I was getting in the decoy suit, helping the current canine handlers out, whether that's laying a track or etc. Sure enough, I ended up getting it. So that was July of 2024 that I got the canine spot. And then in August of 2024, Jax arrived. So Jax is, come here, buddy. So, so Jax is a almost 3-year-old Belgian Malinois. He will be 3 in September. He's from Slovakia. He traveled from Slovakia to
Wow.
Florida and then drove up from Florida. Can't see you, buddy. He drove up from Florida up to Maine in August. We met for the first time, and it's been love ever
Nice.
since.
Nice.
He is such an amazing dog. I got him at 11 months old, which is on the younger side for starting out, but I think it worked in our favor. He he is now dual purpose patrol and narcotics.
Nice.
We've obtained multiple certifications, one being the USPCA narcotic detection certification, and then also our Maine Criminal Justice Academy detection certification, and then patrol cert, which is all the things that you had listed on your Facebook posts. He does
Mhm.
apprehension, building searches, tracking, handler protection. He's got some pretty decent obedience. That's part of it for the most part. um, Actually, that's like the first thing we did was we had to work obedience. You gotta get him
Yeah.
to sit and down and out a ball. Like he wouldn't even out a ball when I got him. So I had to teach him that. The only thing he came to me with was the bite work stuff. So he was
Okay.
from a young age, they trained that. And so he was pretty solid on his bite work from the beginning, but um I taught him everything else.
Nice.
Heeling, downing, sitting, staying, outing, all the things. Thousands of hours have gone into training him. We were pretty quick to obtain our patrol cert because he's such a great dog. Like he really made it easy for me. I've been around dogs my whole life. I've trained dogs my whole life, but nothing like this. I've never had a working dog before. So this was quite intense. I mean, I built a fence in my backyard and I was out there every day, morning, noon, and night if I wasn't working. If I was working, we were training on duty. Because it was super important, and especially in the first 3 months of having him, the luring and the training with food and with toys and everything. So you name it, we did it. We nailed certification, and we've already recertified. We have to certify every year. Detection, he's really great at that too. So yeah, but it's constant, it's ongoing.
Yeah.
We train every week. Thankfully, my agency allows me to train every week. Some people only go every other, but we put in a lot of time. It's on duty training that we do as well, and it's a lot of work. And I mean, obviously, he comes home with me.
Yeah.
He's with me 24/7.
Yeah.
If any of you follow me on my Instagram, you'll see that. He's always in the gym with me. And actually, some of the guys in my group give me a lot of shit for the amount of time that I spend with him. But to each their own.
Mhm.
He's if he would have been a different dog, like a crazy psycho, couldn't be around anybody, like he would
Yeah.
probably just be living out in a kennel in my
Right.
basement or my backyard. But
Right.
he's proven to me that he's capable of these things where he's very social. Like he can be up in my house. I have other dogs too. I have
Really?
cats.
Wow.
Yes, I have another Belgian Malinois and a German Shepherd.
No
Um,
kidding, man.
mhm. So busy
Huh.
household.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, but yeah, so he's pretty capable of doing all the things and hanging out with me, and he's social with people. He's great with my cats, which is really weird.
Yeah, that is
What's
weird. That is weird.
But if anything, I'm hoping that helps me one day. God forbid we're searching a building or a house and there's a
Oh,
cat.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
maybe he won't want to chase it
Right. Right, right. Just make
or kill
friends.
it.
Yeah, yeah. Was your
Um,
son excited when you brought Jax home?
He was.
I bet.
He so all my life I've been an animal person, and
Mhm.
my son very much takes after me. He's also very much an animal person. So he was super excited, and they have a pretty sweet relationship too, which
Hmm.
I've shared on some posts on my
Nice.
Instagram, that they're really sweet on each other, and Jax is great with him.
That's
So,
awesome.
and my son's 10 now, so
Okay,
he's
yeah.
he's on the older side, but yeah, he's been a huge, huge piece, changed a lot of things, but I think for the better.
Mhm. That's
But
awesome.
yeah,
My,
so
my son lives with, a canine, and my son's 7, and, I forgot the dog's name. He says Bolt. Bolt's the dog's name. Yeah, he loves him. So and I told him about you coming on. I don't have him tonight, but told him about you coming on, and so I'm gonna show him the episode. He was really excited. He wants a Malinois, and I'm like, we're not getting a Maligator, buddy. I mean, I live in a townhouse, so I was like, that's not gonna happen. But
yeah.
but yeah, he was. And then I also want to give Francie a shout out from Germany. She's a canine
Oh,
handler,
yes,
and
yes,
she
we
you
recently
guys
followed
talk.
each
Yeah,
other.
yeah,
Yep,
she's awesome.
yep.
And so she didn't, but she wouldn't bring her dog on. I tried to get her to do it. She wouldn't do it. But I guess he was too crazy. But yeah,
Well,
it's cool. It's cool to see that.
most of the time they are crazy, and actually, if he's down here, from day 1, the day that I brought him home, we have been in this gym. So I actually have a couple videos of him on the very first day I brought him home, and he was looking in all the mirrors and stuff, like, looking at himself.
That's funny.
But yeah, he's just down here anyway, so
Yeah,
I
he's used to it.
expected him to be a part of this
Well,
interview.
yeah, I think it's important. I'm glad he made his appearance on the show. I think it's cool. He's obviously an important part of your life and your role. And I think it's cool that you're able to do that. And if anything, you've got a support person there. Because you guys are so thick with each other. So
It's very true. Actually, there's a one of my pinned videos on my Instagram is me opening his ballistic vest that was donated to us, and I got very emotional in the video itself, and you can actually see his change in behavior from the moment I was not crying to the moment that I started crying. He
wow,
actually physically checks in with me, so
huh?
if you're curious about seeing that, go
Let's
look
check
at
it out.
yeah,
Yeah.
on the Robyn K-9X page,
Okay. Cool.
but yeah, so we're very much in tune with each other, and, thankfully, he still does the work, though, so,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure there's some people that follow me that question what I do with him on here and how much time we spend together, but he's proven to me that he's still capable of doing all the hard things and all the work, and he shows up every day. If it's time to go, like, it's time to go. Like, he really does have that switch where he can just transition from being down here in the gym playing with toys to, like, it's time to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I didn't see that in him, then I wouldn't do some of the things that I do with him. Like, I wouldn't allow him to have, the access that he does to some of the toys that he does.
Mhm.
But he's proven to me that he's very capable. So, um, but again, I don't know everything about being a dog handler yet. I'm still very much a new handler. So I'm learning as I go as well.
Yeah.
And so far so good. Like, he does crush it. Like, I wish I could share some of the stuff that we train, but it's kind of frowned upon to be able to
Yeah.
share
Yeah.
all of the
Capabilities.
the fun
Yeah. The
stuff.
fun stuff.
Yeah.
Well, as we're kind of wrapping up, Robin, do you have like a piece of advice or some words of encouragement for anyone that's listening right now that kind of feels like they're on the edge of giving up and just feel just kind of hopeless in life?
Yeah, I mean, I know you like to talk about, like, a Bible verse toward
Mhm.
the end of the show, and look I did think of one that I could
Nice.
suggest to people to read. So it's Isaiah 41:10,
Mhm.
and I would just say to anyone that might be struggling to really just go inward, and I'm not really sure how to word it, but and just talk to God and believe in yourself, as hard as that might be. I feel like even my deepest, darkest times, knowing that there's only one way out, and that way is up, and that way is to the light, because I know for me, I wouldn't want to leave behind, like, my son, any of my family. I wouldn't want them to have to grieve or wonder why I'm not here anymore. So, I just find, like, digging deep, like, really figuring out why you're here and what your purpose is, and knowing that there's always something better. Like, you have the ability to change, and only you can do that. But there's resources out there too. But so yeah, so just going inward and really like finding your why and listening to God, and really, really like believing that you have a purpose here.
Mm-hmm.
And you may not know what that purpose is, but with time, one day at a time, you'll eventually figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Wise words. Do you have Isaiah 41:10 handy?
I do.
You want to read it?
Yes. So let's see here. Okay. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand.
Good stuff. God is good, people, and he loves you no matter what. He'll always be there. He'll always be there. Well,
There is one. I actually I had written some notes. There's one key reflection under the alcohol portion that I had put on
okay.
here that says, I didn't quit because I hit rock bottom. I quit because I wanted a higher ceiling.
Wow, that's good. That's good. Did you read that in a book or did you come up with that?
I just came up with it.
That's good, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. Have you done a post with that?
I have not. I
You
actually,
should. You should. That's really good. I like that. That's really good.
yeah. So I mean, there doesn't necessarily have to be a rock bottom. I
Mhm.
don't. I still don't think that I necessarily have had a rock bottom. It's just a totality of everything that
Mhm.
um has made me want to be the best version of myself. And for me, that is alcohol free, that is staying fit, and knowing that I have a purpose here. I have been called upon in some way, shape, or form to put myself out there and use my voice. Even though I'm still struggling with that, I have shared in the past that I actually have a big problem with public speaking. But social media and doing things like this has really provided a lot of therapy to help me gain that confidence. And it has ultimately helped me reach so many people. And those people have shared like that I'm making a difference or that I've inspired them in some way, shape, or form. So I feel like in some way this is my purpose. So and being a police officer and helping people and being a problem solver, I'm pretty good at it. So
Yeah. Well, and I wanna add this. We didn't get into this tonight, but the enemy wants us to stay quiet. He doesn't want us to share the gospel, to tell our story, because your story is gonna inspire people. You might lead someone to Christ tonight, you never know, and it's important to share it. And from my perspective, I still struggle sometimes being courageous when I have a guest on that's not a believer. And I was thinking about this morning going to work, because I go to work really early in the morning, and I was driving, and I was thinking, Jesus wants you. He's like, I was talking to Christ, but it's like he wants me to spread the gospel. That doesn't mean just talking to fellow Christians. It means to everybody. And so I have to be courageous to, even if they're not a believer, to still talk about him. And so I have to kind of still have those conversations on a regular basis also. So when you sent me that thing this morning, I was kind of like, whew, okay, good. I don't have to
So
worry about, tonight because you're not going to get wigged out when I start praying.
no, no.
But and I shouldn't be that way. I mean, I shouldn't be that way, but I'm still I'm a born again Christian, and that word gets thrown around a lot. But I kind of walked away from God for a long time, and then I came back to him. And so I'm still trying to I've got my purpose nailed, but I'm still trying to learn how to spread the gospel in a way that's not gonna turn folks away from it, but not force it on them, but just say, hey, he's there. He loves you. If you want that relationship, it's there for you. But I obviously can't save that person. That's out of my scope of practice. But so yeah, I admire your strength and your courage to come on tonight, especially I think in your profession. It's very important to share your story and to also just share your faith. I mean, I think it's really important in this day and age. I really do.
It's honestly still hard for me too because I am a born again Christian, I guess you could say. Like I wasn't officially baptized. I hope I'm using that term right. Like I was washed by the water,
That's
in
baptism. Hmm.
baptized
Hmm.
in 2018. Honestly, like I don't read the Bible every day, and I probably couldn't recite a verse without having the assistance of my phone or something to
Yeah.
that effect. So, and my family might look at me funny because at least that's what I feel like.
Yeah.
It's never been like no one in my family's ever really had a relationship with God other than my husband, who was born or brought up Catholic. Um, and actually, that's a whole other subject that we didn't touch on, but um, but yeah. So I honestly still struggle and worry like what what to say or what not to say about God and about Jesus and preaching his words. So I'm right there with you. I mean, I'm a firm believer, but I also respect that, not everybody may believe in God, but they may believe in some other higher
Hmm.
power themselves. And I fully respect that. So
Yeah. And also as believers, we're not, I mean, it's not expected of us to, I mean, honestly, it's his book. We should all read it, but we're not expected to sit here. I can't sit here and quote scripture at you. I mean, I can
mhm.
paraphrase some scripture, but I can't just sit here and rattle off, I have a verse written down I did before we came on, but you shared ones. Yeah. So I get that. And it can be intimidating at times, like when you, are maybe not as well versed in things as
Yeah.
maybe someone else that's been in church their whole life. But at the end of the day, we're all God's children. It doesn't matter what level of competency we have in the Bible or what we've done in life. I mean, we're all God's children. So, and I want people to understand that because I feel like that kind of gets lost in the shuffle sometimes when it comes to spirituality.
100%.
Well, I'm gonna close this out with a prayer. And you want to bring Jackson so we can
Yeah. Come back.
kind of check him out.
Come here, bye.
He's probably ready for you to get done with this. You guys can go play.
Listen,
All right.
Sydney.
There he is. Hey, bud. All right. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for just the opportunity tonight to speak with Robyn and to share her story and also just to raise awareness, Lord, not only for your gospel, but for just mental health in general, and to just let people know out there that they have a purpose in life, that no matter what their past is, no matter what they're going through, that you love them, Lord, and that they are worthy of love. They're worthy of peace. They're worthy of power, and they're worthy of having a purpose and just being loved and cared for. Thank you again for this opportunity to host this show and to meet encouraging people and share their stories. I pray that you'll bless Robyn and Jax and just cover them in your blood and protect them as they're working and keep them safe when they go into harm's way, and watch over them and their families and their coworkers. Thank you again for the opportunity, Lord. I pray that you will continue to lead me and guide me. That will please you and do your will. And it's in your mighty name that I pray.
Amen.
Thanks for tuning in to the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast. Be sure and smash that bell down below so you can subscribe to the channel. I drop new episodes every Wednesday, every Thursday. We're on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcast. Robyn, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the show tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, you guys take care and be safe, okay?